Now, contending for the faith. In this regular feature, Dave and Tom respond to questions from listeners and readers of the Berean Call. Here's this week's question. Dear Dave and Tom, one of the things that bothers me about Christianity and its exclusive way of salvation is all those people it leaves out. What about all those down through history who have never heard of Christ and the Christian gospel? Are they all condemned because of their ignorance?
Dave, you've been on the debate wagon of late, and these are questions that are coming up. It's amazing, not only the atheists, but those who are really against biblical Christianity, well, what they come up with. But what about this question? Is God just leave out those who didn't know anything about Israel, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, things that we've been talking about in Matthew and so on?
Well, you often hear it was just an accident of birth. I could have been a Hindu or, that's what I believe what I believe because of where I was born. Mm-hmm. And does that mean that these people are headed for hell because they weren't born in America where they could hear the gospel? Mm-hmm. Well, you could say, what about the millions, many millions in America who've heard the gospel and rejected it? So just because a person didn't have the opportunity to hear the gospel doesn't mean that that's why they're heading for hell or lake of fire. Well, then why would they be? Because everyone, Romans chapter 1 says God has declared his eternal power and Godhead. The heavens explain that to you. You look at the universe around you, you know it didn't happen by chance. Mm-hmm. And these atheists, they've adopted atheism to escape God. And Francis Collins, who's the head of the Human Genome Project, who became a Christian, at 27, he had been an agnostic. And the Human Genome Project, they're mapping the genome and so forth. He had 2,300 scientists under him. He became a Christian, but I'm a bit disappointed because he's still an evolutionist. But nevertheless, he said the reason that he was an atheist was because that was his escape from God. If there wasn't a God, then he didn't have to give an account to anyone. And Dostoevsky dealt with that, you remember, in, The Brothers Karamazov, I think? Mm-hmm. And one of his characters, I don't remember which one, says, well, if God exists, I have to do what he says. If God doesn't exist, I can do whatever I want. Mm-hmm.
But David, let's get more specific. Let's take the generations, for example, in the Bible doesn't address China, Japan, these countries that would be outside of the Middle East with regard to Christ's first coming and so on.
Right. I was about to get to that.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to move you along, making sure that we've got time for it.
I need to be moved along, Tom.
Okay.
That's one of my problems. I can go into too many details. But they are all without excuse because everybody knows, this didn't happen by chance. Everybody knows Isaiah mocks, God is mocking the idol worshippers through Isaiah. Well, they cut down a tree, part of it they warm themselves, part of it they roast their meat, and part of it they pick their teeth and so forth. They give it eyes, they give it ears. It has eyes it can't see, it has ears it can't hear, it has feet it can't walk. They've got to carry it wherever it goes, and then they bow down and say, oh, this is the God who created me. And God says, these dumb idols, those who worship them are just like them. Now, they know in their hearts, and the Bible says everybody knows, okay? Now, Romans chapter 2, everyone knows in his conscience that he's violated the laws. He knows this. The law of God is written in every human conscience, and anyone who goes against it or who goes against the witness of creation, God is not obligated to give them any more light. It would only add to their condemnation. and he knows who would receive and who would not. So that's not really a valid argument because everyone knows, and yet everyone rejects.
So they give me a scenario here. You have a man growing up under, let's say he's part of Genghis Khan's group at that time. How could he come to salvation?
Well, let's take someone close to that. He wasn't in an army, he wasn't killing people, but he was from Ur of the Chaldees, Abraham. And he grew up in a pagan society.
Right.
And so how did he hear? Weren't any evangelicals there to give him the gospel? Because God spoke to him in his heart. I believe that the Bible says, first of all, he speaks through the universe.
So general revelation?
Right, and then he speaks in the conscience. Now, if you understand this, you know you've broken God's laws. You know you're a sinner. You may not call it that. Your conscience condemns you. And you never heard of Jesus Christ, but if this God created me, and I know I've broken his laws, he must have a way of escape for me. He must have provided some righteous means for me to be forgiven. And Peter tells it to us in Acts chapter 10. He comes there to Cornelius' household. Cornelius has been worshiping God as the best he can. An angel appears and tells him, go and get Peter and he will tell you the real truth. And Peter gives us this amazing verse. He says, "Now I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he who fears God and worketh righteousness is accepted of him." So I believe God can work in anyone's heart through universe, through conscience, and I believe that he will get the message of salvation to them. And we could tell many stories of miraculous ways God has done this.
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website